Good morning and greetings from Alberta. I have a question. Did Canada inadvertently or via espionage help create COVID-19? I don't know, but I think it's a question worth asking, and I haven't really seen many people ask it. So here we go. I'm going to present a little bit of information, and you folks let me know down below what you think. So it's been in the news recently about the Winnipeg lab leak and the collusion between some of our top scientists sharing information and materials with the communist government of China and their army. But this happened back in the summer of 2019, so I don't know how long before that they were sharing information, but this is when it was brought up in the media, I believe, for the first time around the summer of 2019, where they were fired and escorted out, and laptops seized and whatever. So, of course, the government keeps this under wraps, doesn't say much. Okay. Then in October, the fall of 2019, we had another story in the media where our military members came back very sick from the military games in Wuhan, China. And it's my understanding that like up to 2/3 of the plane was quarantined. And they were very sick with a mysterious illness that they couldn't figure out. And there's still Canadian military members who have been questioning, like, did they bring back COVID to Canadian shores? But that story was briefly in the media and then gone. Then, in like what happens after this, right? After this Winnipeg lab leak, and then after our military members come home sick that no one talks about, we start to see videos coming out of China of people dropping in the streets, them welding apartments shut. I don't know if it was at the same time or after, but we saw the videos of them walking up and down the streets in the white suits, and they're fogging everything or whatever chemicals they're shooting in the air. And people started to get worried. I mean, if you were paying attention, you were seeing these videos. Now, I always take everything out of China with a grain of salt. I mean, obviously, we didn't have people in North America dropping in the streets from COVID, but it certainly ended a lot of older people and sick people probably sooner than it should have. You know, people who would have perhaps died next year, perhaps died this year because of COVID, got them really badly. So, and again, that was mostly people who were already very old and very sick, and my heart goes out to their families, those who were affected. But we're seeing these videos out of China, and it looks bad, and people are concerned. So then people start talking about closing the borders and where the virus is coming from, China. And what did the government do? The same liberal tactic that they always do. They call their opponents racist extremists. They said closing the border would be racist. And they left the border open for the first quarter of 2020, which allowed COVID to spread. And later we saw how that went. So the disease that later on was so bad that we had lockdowns, restrictions, Canadians turned against each other, and all, you know, the frozen bank accounts and the debt and everything that we're dealing with now, even in, you know, increased mental illness problems, increased drug and alcohol problems, increased crime and violence, theft. All the things are going up. When economies go down, violence and all the other terrible things increase. This is not rocket science. So that's how terrible it was. That's what it became. And they were more concerned about racism that didn't exist. Like, I'm sure there was some assholes who said some mean stuff. I 100% probably agree. That doesn't mean you don't close the border and protect your people. So it's like they deflected from, if you had mentioned China or where the virus had come from, then they were pigeonholing you as a racist. So they were more concerned about racism that really didn't exist, probably did a little bit, but not to the point of putting 40 million Canadians in danger and letting the virus just walk into our country, if you're that concerned about it. So it's just weird to me how they can, have this materials and secrets, and we know if they tell us that these people or people who help them smuggle materials to China and they got caught with Ebola and whatever else the other virus was, they're not going to tell us the whole truth. If 10 deadly secrets got out, they're going to tell you 2. They don't want to create panic. They don't want to say the truth. They'll use national security as a defense, and in some cases it's probably true. But like material that came from Canada or information very well could have helped in the Wuhan Institute, along with American funding and the gain of function research and whatever else they had going on. Our countries could have helped create COVID, and inadvertently we could have shared information with them that did just that. And the government's continual deflection and suppression of information, shutting down committees, scandal after scandal of hiding this. I mean, why weren't we told widely that a whole plane full of military members probably brought COVID back? Why can't the Canadian media even ask the questions that I'm asking right now? Is it not reasonable? Look at, first of all, Trudeau's respect for China's basic dictatorship and the way they can turn their economy around on a dime. And that's because, they have slave labor and punishment and a crazy surveillance system, and they're hard on their people. And, most of China is pretty poor, and their infrastructure is falling apart, and they have shoddy safety regulations, and you can go online and see videos of bridges collapsing and concrete stairs crumbling because it's just so full of corruption. And that's what Trudeau admires, is their corrupt government that can throw people in re-education camps if you're of a different religion. Sounds familiar, eh? So also, if you look at, say, the Trudeau Foundation and I'm bringing in a wide scope of things here. I'm not saying anyone's guilty of anything. I'm just saying look at the big picture, from them suppressing information to leaving our borders open to using racism so that no one questions China. Leave the border open for COVID to spread around, which they later used to crush people's rights. And then you look at the influx of donations to the Trudeau Foundation, foreign donors, and cash for access dinners that Trudeau has, where he will go to people's homes and for a certain amount of money have dinner with you, right? And of course you're making friends and business deals and different things. I don't know. I have no problem with the people of China, but I mean, all of our governments do nefarious things, including the ones who we think are on our side. Who's the good guys? Who's the bad guys? Did the bad guys start the war in Iraq? There's a lot of things that our governments can account for too, right? So I'm not comparing our governments to China. China is obviously on a different level, but it's just weird how Trudeau has this love for China. He has what seems like business dealings with them, whether politically or things we don't know about, or things that I'm just not aware of. And then we have all these secrets being hidden from Winnipeg lab leak to sick military members to everything. And my question is, did we help inadvertently create COVID-19? And because our government was hiding things and they know things we don't, did they try to deflect attention away from China so that their participation in whatever is not uncovered? I don't know. Maybe. It's a fair question, though. Shouldn't we look into it? Why isn't anybody looking into it? If you were the Prime Minister, would you want your people protected? Or would you call them racist? Would you want proper investigations so that if something was leaked from somewhere, that it doesn't happen again? Or do you want to just shut down all conversation and anyone like me who would ask a question is a racist? Yeah, there's something going on, guys. And it's not good. And what's really not good is a lot of people, as I often say, act like nothing happened. And to the people who disagree with me, and I'll end on this, these laws that are coming in and Bill C-63, and where if you're going to hurt someone's feelings or say hateful words, whatever the government may deem in their large gray area of what's hateful, or they can put you under house arrest for future crimes if people think you might commit a hate crime or have a track record of doing it. And again, they're going to consider what hate is. You know, you have to remember that the people you like and the government that you cheer for isn't always going to be in charge. And these same laws and procedures and legislation that can take my rights can take yours. And you have to remember that your people won't always be in charge. And when we stand up for people's rights and people's freedoms and ability to communicate and talk to each other like we are now, I'm doing it even for the people that disagree with me. Because one day it might be you wanting to make a video to talk about your rights being taken. And the tables could be turned. Never forget. So, down below, let me know. Do you think I'm crazy? The information's in the media. I put it on the screen. Canada sure acts weird when it comes to China. We sure hid a lot of information. We know for a fact we shared information with Wuhan. We know our military members were sick. And we know that the Liberals tried to deflect from China's involvement by using the tired old tactic of, you're a racist. So they can call me whatever I want, but I think Canadians need to talk. And I thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day. Take care.